Hello, this is Dave with Mile High Drone Services, and what I'm going to be talking about today is the DJI Geo system, specifically the latest updates to it, the map updates, along with the latest firmware updates for your DJI products, the Mavics, the Phantoms, Inspires, things like that. There's been a lot of discussion on the net and various forums about Geo and specifically the latest updates. This talk is primarily targeted towards the commercial user, but if you're a recreational flyer, you may find it of interest as well. So, with the latest update to Geo, there has been discussion about the authorization zones no longer being authorization zones, where you have to pre authorize either the date in advance or you have to open up a discussion with DJI to get certain areas unlocked ahead of time. And if you just show up at a site to fly, even if it's in Class G airspace, DJI will not allow you to fly and it will not allow you to self authorize. And this could be a big problem for the commercial operator. Now, you look at the maps, you're in Class G airspace, you look at the DJI no fly zones, and they say you're in the clear. You look at the geo map, it says you're in an authorization zone, which in the past you could self-authorize, or you apparently still can self-authorize. It's a problem if you don't have internet. Um, in the past, the operator could just turn off Geo and use the no-fly zone system. That's what I've been doing in the past. But anyway, there has been discussion about the authorization zones being a little messed up and basically not allowing you to fly your Mavic or your Phantom in areas where you are perfectly legal to fly, your Class G airspace, all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Mavic out to a couple areas that are inside authorization zones. I'm not going to fly it. I'm just going to see if it will arm. And I'm going to take a camcorder with me, and we'll be recording the video. Um, that's on the iPad and on the controller, and that way we can see exactly what is being shown to the operator and what's not, and you can make your own determination on whether Geo is working as designed, as intended. If you think it's good, if you think it's bad, if you're on the fence, whatever. This is more of a education for everyone to understand how Geo is currently working and go from there. So having said that, let's hop in the car. We'll go out to a couple areas that are inside our authorization zone and see what happens. So before we actually do the test, I thought it would be useful to show everyone exactly where the test will be run. So here is the DJI no-fly zone map, and the areas indicated as T1, T2, and T3 show the area that we will be going to. And as you can see in this map, we are not in any kind of restricted areas whatsoever. If you look at a sectional map, then you will also see that this is Class G airspace, which has is considered unrestricted airspace. If you want to look at this map for yourself, you can go to Google, type in DJI no-fly zone map, and this map should come up. You can enter zip code 80023, and the map will then come up. Obviously T1, T2, and T3 won't be there because I put those in, but you can see for yourself that this area is considered an okay fly zone. So let's go ahead and take a look at the geo map now. The geo map, again, I've indicated T1, T2, and T3, and it does show that we will be attempting to arm the Mavic in a authorization zone, which means you should get a prompt to self-authorize telling DJI that you accept full responsibility and you're legal to fly there. Again, this is Class G airspace. If you are a recreational user, all you need to do is call the local airport and tell them that you want to fly. If you are a commercial operator, you don't need to do that. If you look on the right side of the map, you'll see a red icon. That is a restricted zone out in Brighton. It's probably a jail or something, but we are nowhere near that, so that should not present any problem. So again, you can type in zip code 80023 to see exactly where this map is. So let's now head out and do the testing. Okay, so we're at test site number 1, and the first thing I'm going to do is turn on the transmitter, then launch the DJI Go 4 app, and then turn on the Mavic. Right now we have got Geo turned on, and we are in an authorization zone, so we should get prompted to self-authorize if everything works as advertised. So the transmitter is trying to connect to the Mavic. The Go 4 app has launched. Okay, it is connected to the Mavic. Right now we're in ATTI mode. Now it says we are in a no-fly zone. So let's enter the Go 4 app, and it says we cannot take off. And we are not getting prompted to self-authorize. We will double check to make sure Geo is turned on, which it is. We are connected to the internet because the map came up in the map view, which we will see in a second. And if we decrease the size of the map, we'll see that we are in a yellow authorization zone. But we are not in a no-fly zone, but the Go 4 app will not allow us to self-authorize, so we cannot take off. So if we had a mission to do at this location, and even though we are in Class G airspace and in an authorization zone, DJI's Go 4 app is preventing us from taking off. So now let's do this with Geo turned off and see how that works. Okay, so now Geo is turned off, Mavic is turned off, transmitter is turned off. So we will turn on the transmitter, we will launch the Go 4 app, and we will turn on the Mavic. And again, this is with Geo turned off. And according to the map, we are wide open and should be allowed to fly. But as you can see on the display of the transmitter, it says we are in a no-fly zone. The Go 4 app says we're in a no-fly zone, and we are not allowed to take off. If we look at the map says that we are in an authorization zone, which is odd because we have Geo turned off. But in any case, Geo's turned off. We are in Class G airspace, but we are not allowed to take off at all, and there's no way around it, apparently. Okay, so now we are at test site number 2. Geo is turned off on the Go 4 app. Turn on the transmitter, launch the app, and we will turn on the Mavic. So we are waiting for the Mavic to connect. Okay, we finally connected. It's in ADI mode, waiting for the IMU to initialize. Okay, it's initialized. We're in Opti mode, waiting for GPS lock. The map shows where we used to be at, test site number 1. As soon as the GPSs lock in, it should move us to our actual location. It's taking a while. We're around buildings. Okay, we now have a GPS lock, and once again it says we're in a no-fly zone. And although we have Geo turned off and the no-fly zone map says that we are perfectly safe to fly, and this is also Class G airspace as classified by the FAA, the Go4 app is not allowing us to fly. And we had a mission here for a customer, we could not do it unless we apparently authorize ahead of time the day before on the web. So now let's turn on Geo, and we will see if Geo will prompt us to authorize. So we'll turn on the transmitter, launch the app, go turn on the Mavic. Again, this is with Geo turned on, so we are waiting for it to connect, the transmitter to connect. Okay, the transmitter is connected, and the GPS lock was very fast this time, and again it says we are in a no-fly zone. Once the Go4 app gets into its main page, we will notice that it says we're in a no-fly zone, and once again we are not being updated or requested to self-authorize. Looks like there's yet another download update from DJI. This must have occurred the last day or so. So again, cannot take off. Let's go just verify that Geo is turned on, which it is. And again, just to confirm, we are in a yellow authorization zone, not in a no-fly zone, but the Go4 app is not allowing us to fly. So let's, just for curiosity, I've got an iPad mini with the latest firmware, or the latest iOS app, and we'll see if that makes any difference. So I've got the iPad mini now connected. This has the latest iOS version. As of a couple days ago, I downloaded it to use with the new Spark drone that I got from DJI. I needed to update it in order to fly that drone. But let's just verify that this version has the same issue. So again, it says we're in a no-fly zone. Looks like yet another DJI update has come out in the last day or so, but I'm not going to update that right now. And again, we are in an authorization zone, but DJI is not prompting me for my credentials or anything so I can fly, so I am locked out from flying in this particular location. And if this were if I had a real commercial job here to go up and take a picture of a roof or whatever, even though I am legal to fly by the FAA, this is Class G airspace, I am not in a restricted area as far as DJI is concerned. DJI is not allowing the flight. So this could be a problem for commercial operators. And guess that's it. So if you're curious about the actual version of firmware that I'm running, I'll bring that screen up and zoom in, and so we can see exactly what firmware is running on everything. So here's a clip that was actually shot a couple days later. The original video was posted on YouTube and was also subsequently posted in the RC Groups forum, and a person who works for DJI, a support person, said that all my tests, or he implied all the tests were not valid, because the authorization prompt only comes up after you try to arm the motors, and none of my clips showed arming the motors. I mean, even though the screen said I was in a do not fly zone. Unfortunately, right after I did these tests, I applied for waivers with DJI, but I have found a Mavic and iPad Mini 4 that are on version 08 firmware, which is the same firmware that I was running with the other tests. So I took that out to test site 2, and I basically took the Mavic, turned the Mavic on, uh, launched DJI Go 4, turned on the transmitter, and uh, confirmed that, it still says I cannot take off, and Geo was turned on. In fact, this version of firmware, Geo, you could not turn Geo off. So here I am trying to arm the motors, and you can see that I am not being prompted at all to enter any credentials. So in fact, all the tests that I did show previously and subsequently to this one are valid. It says I cannot take off. I try to arm and it will not arm. The motors did not start. And so the tests are valid. So Geo is in fact locking me out of an authorization zone, and that's all I have to say. So we'll go to the next clip. So just out of curiosity, since I'm at test site 2, I thought, and I have the Spark in the car, let's try the Spark. So I turned on the Spark, and first thing it did, it asked me to update the no-fly zone and geo database, which I am not going to do. Learned my lesson on that. And it's telling me that there's an update out there, which I am not going to update. But in a second, we will see that it is going to allow me to fly. It has connected to the GPS. It knows where I'm at, and the Spark is perfectly happy to fly. I assume that is because I have not updated the no-fly zone and the geo database on the Spark. And fortunately, DJI is giving me the option to update or not to update, but I suspect that option will go away shortly, and DJI will just force the update upon us. Okay, we are at test site number 3. Geo is turned on. So turn on the transmitter, launch the Go 4 app, go turn on the Mavic. And waiting for it to connect. Okay, we're in ATTI mode, and it says we are in a no-fly zone. And once again, the Go 4 app, if we look at the map, we are in an authorization yellow zone. However, the app is not prompting us to authorize, and this is Class G airspace. And just to confirm, the geo system is turned on. So once again, not allowed to fly. If you had a mission here, you got a problem, we'll turn geo off and try all this again. So again, we're at test site number 3. We have geo turned off the Mavic, turned off the transmitter, shut down the Go 4 app, turning on the transmitter, launching the Go 4 app, now turning on the Mavic and waiting for it to connect. Okay, we've connected, we're in ADDI mode, and again, it immediately identifies us in a no-fly zone. Try to get into the app here, there we go. And once again, cannot take off. Shrink down the map again. Yes, we are in an authorization zone. We are not in a restricted zone. Geo is turned off. And so even though the no-fly zone map says we're perfectly okay to fly, the Go4 app says, nope, you cannot take off, and nothing you can do about it. So I guess go home, go on the website, pre-authorize, and hope that works, and come back and then shoot your mission. So if you're curious about the actual versions of the software and firmware and all that that was being used on the iPad mini, I brought up the screen so you can see it. So you can see the version of the app, the aircraft, remote controller, the flight database, and the app database. Looks like 4.1.2 for app. Aircraft is 01.03.08. Remote controller is 01.03.08. Flight database is 01.00.01.04. And the same for the app database. So you have the results. We went to 3 separate locations. All were okay as far as the no-fly zone map was concerned, and we were not allowed to take off. The Go4 app said we were in a no-fly zone, and when Geo was turned on, even though we were in authorization zones, we were not prompted with the screen to self-authorize, so the flight was denied. And this current issue with DJI, with Geo, in my opinion, is pretty serious for the commercial operator. You look at the maps and you think you're good to go, and you're not. And you get out there, get out to your customer's location to do a shoot, whether it's an inspection, a realtor shoot, wedding, whatever, and you're denied. And even though you're in Class G airspace, you can't authorize. And my concern is also that if these areas of the map are being locked down, are there other areas of the map that aren't even in authorization zones that are locked down, and there's no way for the commercial operator to know this until they get out to site. And it's just not realistic to ask the commercial operator to go out to a site a day ahead of time to see if his Mavic or his Phantom or Inspire will power up. I mean, that's just not realistic from a business sense to do that. So this is something you really need to think about if you're looking at buying a drone and it's a DJI drone. If you live in a populated area and DJI starts shutting areas down, or is perfectly okay to fly from the FAA's point of view, or if you've got waivers from the FAA to fly, and DJI locks you out and doesn't give you any warning, that's a problem. So hopefully DJI will fix this, and we'll go from there. So I hope you found this interesting. If you like it, subscribe to my channel. You'll not only get drone videos, you'll get other videos about other things like antique slot machines, because that's another hobby of mine. Hope you found it useful. If you live in an authorization zone, in an area that has authorization zones, maybe you should take your DJI Mavic or Phantom out there and do exactly what I did. See if it authorizes, and if it doesn't, post that information on the forum. Let DJI know. If they don't hear from the commercial operators or the other users that this is a problem, they will not be inclined to make any changes. Even if they do, they may be inclined not to make any changes. But at least you can say you let them know. So that's it. Hope you have a great day, and maybe we'll see you in the future.